I am tall. And I am overwhelmed to win this award. I'm also less overwhelmed that I'm in a suit and not dead. I would like to thank, first of all, my wife and my kids, because they've always stood behind me, and my wife has supported my obsession with technology. I'd also like to thank Romy and the greatest bunch of people you could ever work with, the IU-12 staff. They tolerated me. They keep me humble by buying balloons. And they never let me forget where I came from. I would like to thank the Pendel AER Selection Committee. It's an honor. Thank you so much. I remember Elinor long and how inspiring she was. As a matter of fact, I worked with a guy named Bob Morgan, who was actually one of the first consultants with her. And if you're an itinerant in the state of Pennsylvania and you think you have a lot of territory, even last, Bob had 11 counties. And so I'm wondering how you could actually do this job in 11 counties. Usually I'm used to introducing myself now as, hi, I'm Doug Williams. I'm from the Pennsylvania Training and Technical Assistance Network, also known as PATN. And I have gone to PATN, and I do miss the people I work with. But when I went to PATN, they have a way of keeping you busy. So you don't have too much time for that. It has been a very good year and a half. To go to PATN was an honor, because I was replacing somebody who has meant a lot to me in my life. And also, I just want to make a comment that PATN staff has now gone a total rehash. I mean, we had consultants, Deb, Mark, and Frank, that made it look really, really easy. They tricked us. Okay, because I know Lynn's 3 years, which in PATN years is 21. I was trying to think of, I have a lot of stories in education. Everybody does who's taught as long as I have. And I was trying to think of a story that I haven't told you or people in this room 100 times. But then I was thinking of how I got into this field. And if you don't know, Romy was right. I am full of a lot of BS because I was a social worker. And my first job was in north central Pennsylvania in a small town called Athens. Okay? And I was considered living in the city. It's very rural. I was considered living in the city because I was on a paved road. And I was a case manager for intellectually disabled adults that moved out of institutions into group homes, moved out of group homes into what was called a cluster community, which was usually an apartment complex, but they didn't have an apartment complex, so they lived all over town. And it was to really case manage them into being independent, to paying their own bills, to shopping, to doing things like that. And I had one client, his name was Ralph. I love Ralph. Ralph was blind, and the only thing keeping him from being independent, doing all things on himself, because he was very independent of everything, was he couldn't get around. He couldn't get to the store. So I found his cane, and it was white and red, and it was all torn up. So being the proactive social worker I was, I sanded it down. Do you know how hard it is to sand down a cane with 3M tape? It takes a while. So I sanded that cane down, and I got some high gloss white, and I got some high gloss red, and I made it look horrible. But so I was trying to teach him, you know, wave that stick in front of you, and get down the street, get down the steps, and it was really, really difficult. And I finally discovered the Bureau of Blindness and Visual Services. I said, oh, that's awesome. And I talked to a counselor, and they said, there are actually people trained to do this. I said, that is just so awesome. Can we get one? Because I'm having difficulty getting them down the street, okay? So I finally, it was about 3 weeks later, I met Ted Kresge. I don't know if anybody knows Ted, an old timer in the field. And Ted was absolutely marvelous. Because, I mean, I told him about sanding down the cane, about painting the white, about waving the stick in front of him, getting down the street, and not getting down the street. And I remember saying to this one comic, because this is stuck, this is over 30 years ago, sticks in my head. I'm really having difficulty with this intersection down the street. And he looks at me and he says, hell, the intersection, he'd be dead 1,000 times before he got to the intersection. I was devastated. But, you know, so we worked on some strategies and stuff, and he was going to come up and do some training. And then later we went back to my place. And this is what you have to be key as a professional in this field. He said to me, seems like you put a lot of work into this. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, would you be interested in doing this? And I was like, well, where? And he's like, well, just happens to be this program up at Boston College. And that started my career. And I never looked back. Went to BC, met awesome people. BC program was extremely tough, especially the second semester when we were doing 6 days a week. And I had all-day communication with George. Braille and sign language in the morning. And just in case you're wondering, it was always lunch at a bar between Braille and sign language. I did a little better with sign language. I think once you win the Ellie, you might be considered an extraordinary teacher. And I'll tell you how to be considered an extraordinary teacher. And I have some simple steps. Only teach extraordinary students. And I can tell you, I have only extraordinary students. Only work with extraordinary teachers and professionals. And I gotta tell you, these people should be commended because they put up with me. Just for that alone. And only work with extraordinary parents. And I can tell you, I really have. Even the difficult ones, because you have to be mending fences, you have to come to consensus. And usually, irregardless, it always turned around and worked out. So, if you do these 3 things, you'll be in a situation like me, an ordinary guy who gets to be in an extraordinary award, being in an extraordinary field. So thank you very much.